Okay, so I'm going to make a quick video for you guys to help you out. I know that the classes that we've been doing have been pretty fast, and for those of you who are new to Photoshop, that probably was a bit overwhelming, a lot of information all at once. So I wanted to make a video for those of you who would like to have what we talked about gone over again. So we'll do that. Um, I first wanted to start, let's see, where did we leave off? All right, new document is how you start creating your new edit. And you're going to want to use probably size 700 by 700. And your new document window will only look like this if you have the brand new version of Photoshop. Otherwise, you will only have this area here, this little rectangle of right here. You will not have all this preview stuff. Yours will most likely be white. These changes I've made in here are personalized custom interface changes I made. So you will only have this little box here. But all the info in it will be the same. You'll add 700 width by 700 height pixels. And you want it to be at 72 resolution because that is for online use. 300 and up is for print only. You want to make sure it's on RGB color, 8-bit. And your background color can be anything you want it to be. Usually it's either white or black or transparent. Those are the three options that it'll be. And then you click create. And it'll then make your little white box here. Now we're going to go ahead and open up our hires for our edit by going here to File, Open, and go ahead and get your hires that you want to use. I'll do different color from the other day. Yep. All right. So there's our hires. Now you're probably wondering, great, how do we move it to our background? Well, this is how. You make sure that you have your move tool. This is the move tool right here. Selected, and you use V as in Victor on your keyboard to get your move tool. Then click and hold and drag it to the tab in which your background is. These are tabs up here. All of these are different things that you're working on, and you can have them all open, and you just click on them to open them. But back to this here. Our hires needs to be brought to this tab where our new white document is. So we click it, drag it to that tab where our white box is. Do not release your mouse until you are over your new document. Then release. There it is. If you do try and drag it and you release right here, it will not do anything. You will get nothing here. All right. Now we need to make her fit in our new document because she's too big. To do this, we hit Control T as in Tom. That's our free transform tool. Then you're going to hold your Shift button, click a corner, and drag. Never click up here, never click on the sides, always click in a corner while holding Shift. You will hold Shift for the older versions of Photoshop. If you have a new version of Photoshop, you will not hold Shift. Okay. And let's see. Let's make her fit in here nice. There we go. We want to give it a little room. Alright, then you're going to have to hit your checkbox up here. Now this checkbox is really important for the older versions of Photoshop because your Photoshop will stop doing anything if you have not accepted your changes by hitting this checkbox or hitting enter on your keyboard. You could try like opening or doing some other maneuver and you will do nothing and you'll be scratching your head. I've done it a million times, so make sure that you guys check to make sure that checkbox isn't there. So we now have our avatar on our background. Control and the letter 1, Control and the number 1 will zoom this in to be the proper size that the document is. That way you can see what's going on. Okay. Next thing we need to do is pick out a background and a floor. I'm going to make it custom so that you guys can see how to do that, because it's always better to just make your own instead of spending hours searching for the right background. So we're going to go ahead and let me think. Now you can get textured backgrounds, just pictures like of lace or stripes or wallpaper type of things with polka dots or whatever you want. Just I personally like to make them all the way from scratch so that I can make sure my backgrounds match what I'm wearing. So what I am going to do is I'm going to use a pattern that I have saved in my computer already, and I will show you how to do that later, or show you how to add the patterns later. So we want to unlock our background here. Most likely your backgrounds will, I can't remember what the old version does with the backgrounds. If your background has that little lock, just double click on it and unlock it. Let me actually go back and show you that. You will have a little lock on your backgrounds that look like this. Double click it or single click it and it will let you unlock it. Okay, so now I'm going to double click on that layer, our background layer. I'm going to name this background. You can rename your layers by double clicking on the words and then typing whatever you want to name it. Background. Okay. Double click. And that opens up our layer style panel. And this is where all the magic in Photoshop happens. This allows you to change a whole bunch of stuff on the layer that you've double clicked on. So this is the background layer. I'm going to add a pattern overlay. And I'm going to see what I can find here that might look good. Most of the stuff I have in here is for debbing, so I'm not sure if I'm going to find anything that's going to work okay. Hey, that's a little busy. Just a little. Okay, let's see. It doesn't really matter much what we use, but I don't want something too busy. No. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and use this. I might be able to subdue it a little bit. I'm going to try that. So I've selected that for my background. I'm going to change the size of the texture by selecting scale, typing in a new number here. Let's see if 25 is better. Doesn't look much better. I'm going to go with 50. All right. I'm also going to, actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to leave it the way it is. Hit OK. All right, so now our background is there. I'm going to add a floor now. We're going to fix this plaid too because it's going to kill my eyes after looking at it for an hour. Okay, so I made a new layer. You always want to make a new layer whenever you add something new to your edits. You can add a new layer by selecting this little like icon that looks like a piece of paper, and that's how you add a new layer. This is how you delete the layer. And this here, well, we'll get into the rest later. These are the only two you want to concern yourself with at first. New layer, delete layer. I've created my new layer. I'm going to use my rectangular marquee tool that's located right here. These are the two tools that you'll use in the marquee tool, the rectangular and the elliptical. That's basically just a circle. And these will make a selection in either shape. So we're going to make a rectangle selection down here. And that puts marching ants there. That's what I call them. Now in our new layer, we're going to fill it with a color. I'm going to use a gradient for this. So this is our gradient here. It also has our paint bucket tool, but gradient is what we're going to use. Up here is our gradient tool editor, and these are the options for the shape of our gradient. I'll go over those after I pick some colors. So you're going to want to click on that that color bar up there. Then it opens up our gradient editor. I'm going to select the black over white. That's like default colors to let you then build your new gradient colors. And to build your gradient, you simply click the black box. It'll open this one up. Select a color from your document. I'm going to go with that red. Then click on the other box on the other side. And I'm going to select black for that one, I think, yeah. We can add a third color or a fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever, by clicking when your cursor turns into a little hand right about here. Click, and it'll add another color. I'm going to change that one, I think, to white. We'll see how this looks. Might not work, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm not going to use that. Anyway, now you know how to add another color. So to delete them, you click them and delete. This is all I'm going to go with here. You can save the color gradient by clicking the button New, and then puts it to the very bottom of your gradient list, and you can use it later now. Hit OK. Now, these boxes here will decide what shape your gradient is going to be painted in. This first one here is called Linear, and it is the one that you'll probably use the most. When you pick the one you want, click and drag, holding Shift for a straight line, and there it'll fill it. I want mine to go the other direction, so I'm going to do it again in the opposite direction. Here we go. This one is a circle. It's called radial. That one's kind of cool. This one is, what is this one called? Yeah, that's what that's called. What's it called? Angle, thank you. And that's angle. And this one is reflected. And this one is a star. Well, that's not a good example of it. There we go. Now you can see what it does. Again, I'm going to go ahead and use my linear here. I'm going to put that like that. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to deselect our marching ants by holding Control and D as in David, and that will get rid of those. We're going to add some shading to this background now to make it a little more three-dimensional and kind of subdue this background a bit. So we need to make another new layer for the back of the wall and get our elliptical marquee tool this time. Start up at the top right corner or top left corner, hold Shift and drag down to the bottom. Right about here is good. Okay, now we want our the opposite selection here. We want to invert our selection because I don't want to put a circle over her. I want to put a black circle around her, or basically black on the outside, clear on the inside. So how we do that is by holding Control Shift and the letter I. That will invert our selection. Now I can fill it with black. We need to make sure that this color palette over here on the left has black on top, white on bottom, and you get that by hitting D as in David. And if you need to flip them for whatever reason, you hit X, and that will flip them. But we're going to use black. Now to fill the layer with black and the selection with black, we hold Alt and delete together, and that will fill that layer with black. Then Control D to deselect. All right, now we need to soften this little shape we've made. So I'm going to go ahead and go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we don't want our edge to be so soft that it doesn't even show. We don't want it to be hard so that it still looks like a circle. We want a happy medium there, so you want it to be something like this. It doesn't look like a circle, but it doesn't look like nothing. It still has definition. Go ahead and hit OK. Now we're going to Control T as in Tom to get free transform. And simply drag the bottom and middle anchor up. Oops, I'll do that again. Bottom middle anchor. Just to the top of the floor line there. Okay, so now that is our shading for that wall. Next we need to make some lines on our floor. Make a new layer. Get your brush tool. This is our brush tool here. Now I want you to notice something. Whenever you select a tool on the left, your toolbar up top is going to change. It will change according to whatever tool you decide to use. And these are the options for said tool. So here is our brush tool options. Here we can pick the brush we want to use. Your brushes will not look like mine here. You're going to have just the brushes. You will not have folders. That's only available in the new version of Photoshop, but they still work the same. So we're going to use a hard round brush right here. Yeah, okay. Now I'm going to show you a really good shortcut to know, and it is the most used thing in Photoshop, and it is to make your brush bigger and smaller or hard and soft. To do this, you want to hold Control, Alt, and the right click on your mouse. And when I do that, you'll see the brush there. You're going to drag to the right to make your brush bigger, drag to the left to make it smaller, drag up to make a soft edge brush, or drag down to make a hard edge brush. This is really important stuff right here. Alright, so we're going to have a hard edge brush. I'm going to, what am I going to do? Making lines, so if we want it to be very small, make it about a 3, that should work. Alright, maybe 2. We've got black selected, and now make one line, holding your shift down, because whenever you hold shift and draw a straight line, it draws a straight line. Otherwise, it's going to look like an EKG monitor. At least mine does. Okay, there's our line. Now we need to Control T. Actually, no, we don't want to do that because it's too thin. So hit V as in Victor to get your move tool. Then move this over all the way to the left. And we're going to make about 25 more copies of these lines. So to do that, you hit Control J 25 times. Oops, that's 26. Okay. All right. Take the last one that you just made, layer 4, copy 25, and drag it all the way to the other side. As far from this wall as these are from this, so they're equal. So right about there. Now hold, make sure that the first layer there, your layer 4, copy 25 on mine. I'm not sure what yours will be, but the top one, the last line you did. Then scroll down to the bottom and hold shift and click the first one, first line you did, which in my case is layer 4. Then up here, you're going to click on the middle button here, or not the middle button. You're going to have, yours is going to look, I can't even remember exactly what yours looks like in your version of Photoshop, but we need to distribute these horizontally. So here's where I do it. Make sure that you mouse over your options up here and select the option that says distribute horizontally and click it. And that will distribute all these lines equally from each other. Now we're going to go back to our layer panel, right click, and merge layers. Why do they keep bugging me? Okay. Now we're going to Control T those. Actually, no, I'm not going to go to that step just yet. What we need to do here is, if you can notice, the lines are going above the floor here. We need to fix that. And how we do that is by making a layer mask. And what that is it will take the layer where the lines are and it will stick it inside of the bottom layer. And it will only affect that layer. It will not affect any layers above or below this layer. And we do that by holding our Alt button and mousing in between the two layers. See how that changes the cursor? Then click, and now this is inside of this. So that is how you take care of that problem. We can still move this around in here, but it won't affect anything except for that layer. So we'll go right there, and now we're going to make it look more angled, make it look more like a three-dimensional room floor. And how we do that is we want to Control T as in Tom, then hold your Control button down and grab the bottom left corner and drag it to the right. And then do the same with the opposite to the left. Make sure that they're about the same distance on both sides. And now we have what looks to be a floor. Make sure you hit your checkbox. There we go. And I'm going to change my overlay, or my blend mode up here. This is the blend mode. I'm going to change it to overlay. Actually, soft light. There we go. And now we're going to make a shadow for our floor, the same way we did for the wall. Okay, I'm going to drag this down here to below. This is our wall. I wanted my shadow for the wall to be right above it. Now I'm going to make another new layer right above the floor lines and get our elliptical marquee tool. Start right above the floor, the far left, drag all the way across, right about here. Okay, there we go. And now we need to invert our selection again, so Control-Shift-I. Then we're going to fill it with black again. Okay, oopsie, we have a problem. We have our shadow affecting our whole edit, which we don't want, but it's okay, we can fix this by making another layer mask. So hold Alt and mouse in between, click. Now it's only affecting the floor. So we go to Filter and Blur, Gaussian Blur. And we're going to lower this down this time, right about there. There we go, that looks good. Hit OK. There we go. So that part's done. Alright, I'm going to stop this video here and continue on a part 2, and I'll see you in a minute.